Hi, Mark.
Hey.
Thanks for coming in
Of course.
this morning. I wanted us to have this time to meet because I'll be coming in to see your lesson,
Okay.
and so I just needed a little bit of information about the lesson I'm going to see your kiddos, and just to help me understand where I'm coming in the sequence of things. Okay?
Okay. Sounds
Do you have
good.
any questions before we start?
Nope.
All right, good deal. So, tell me a little bit about the lesson that I'm going to see.
Alright, so we've been working on multiplication and division. That's
Okay.
kind of our essential learning for the quarter. And right now the objective of the lesson you'll see is solving one-step word problems, primarily using 6s and 7s. So the way the unit kind of is structured, we started off with smaller numbers and teaching the meaning of multiplication, division, and strategies for doing it. And we've worked our way up where we're now on 6s and 7s.
Okay.
And each time we introduce new units, they learn the new strategies, kind of some ways to solve those, just working with numbers, looking different ways, and then it kind of moves into word problems. So we have done some word problem lessons before,
Okay.
so I kind of have an idea of where some students are with their ability to solve word problems, but the new learning is kind of adding in those bigger numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to try to meet the students where they are kind of in their understanding of word problems.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that they've shown mastery of their facts, and they're ready to do the application part of it.
Yeah.
They have worked some word problems before. You feel like they're familiar enough, but you're wanting to see, or they're going to show you whether or not they can apply what they know about solving word problems to these new types of numbers and facts.
Exactly.
Okay, so and you kind of talked to me about this already. I wanted to know what all they needed to master, but you said that you were going to talk, or you guys were going to focus on word problems. What have they shown you they were able to do with word problems, even to where you feel comfortable to go ahead and move on to that?
Yeah, so the lessons right before this, we're kind of focusing on just the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And they have all mastered being able to multiply by 6s and 7s. They can all do that, but they are, of course, different levels of mastery. I've got some kids who just know their 6s and 7s facts and can spout them out right away, where others still need to write out their skip counting and sometimes even draw a picture.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have proved that they can solve those type of problems. That was kind of the first prerequisite, and there's different levels of learning, but they should all be able to be successful doing the numbers.
Okay.
With word problems, again, they've kind of all, there's some that are perfectly fine solving one-step word problems, and can do some two-step ones, where some, they know what multiplication and division are, but they have a little more trouble determining the operation, drawing a picture that matches it, and figuring out what they're supposed to do. So that's going to kind of be the support for those students, while some of the others will be pushed on a little bit.
Okay, so you're kind of transitioning into where I was going next, because just in listening to what you said, I can tell there's all kinds of different skills. There are many different things they're going to need to do, different knowledge and be able to, or should pull on, and so with that you're going to have varying levels, and you already started to talk about that. So what types of considerations, other than just being aware of it, did you have to make when sitting down to plan this lesson?
Well, I kind of started out with what I wanted all students to be able to do. And I think an important part of this, like you said, there's all these varying pieces that go into them being able to solve the problem. So I kind of started the criteria of what I want students to learn and to be able to do. So I know students need to be able to understand what's going on in the problem and be able to annotate, to figure out the information they need. I know that students need to be able to represent the problem in some way so they can figure out what operation to pick.
Okay.
Then they have to be able to pick the correct operation and write a number sentence, and then they have to solve it correctly and pick the correct strategy.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I started at.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to start the lesson kind of giving the students some problems and letting them figure out. And they should be fairly familiar, because we've done some word problems before, the different things they would have to be able to do to solve it.
Okay.
So they all have a picture of what's expected of them in their mind, and then the grouping is going to look a little different based on where they are.
All right. So you started to answer some other questions that I had. The criteria then is for you as well as the students, because you said I know that they need to do these things.
So I've kind of come up with it in my head, but I'd like them to be able to kind of pull it out.
Okay.
So I'm going to have them kind of work a problem to start out with, and since they're a little bit familiar with this, and then see how as a class, and them kind of talking with partners if we can come up with a common list together.
Okay, all right, well, that sounds,
And then we'll reference it, of course. I can reference it, see where they are, and hopefully they'll be able to reference it and use it to help them out in their learning too.
okay, to help them out. And so, I noticed in your last evaluation, your area of refinement was that you were focusing on presenting instructional content where you were specific with examples and models. I think anchors were something that you were going to work towards.
Yeah.
And so would you say that criteria is one of the things that you've began to incorporate in instruction? Can you describe some things that
Yeah,
you've,
definitely. This kind of process of, as we're going to have the learning target and like really anchoring out. So we've always talked about it before, but I think through the last post-conference evaluation I had, talked about the importance of kind of coming together as a class, really anchoring out what the criteria are, what the kind of learning is, and referencing that throughout the lesson is helping me as a teacher to kind of see where students are, and I think it also helps students see where they are and where they need to go next. So I think that's been really helpful, and hopefully that'll come through tomorrow in the lesson too.
Alright, so you plan to incorporate that, and it sounds like you've been using it, so you're familiar with it, the students should be familiar with
Yeah.
it, so they're gonna know what to do with any types of models or examples you provide them.
Yes, they should.
Okay, and so one other question, something else that I'm wondering is, you mentioned that the considerations are, I'm gonna give them the criteria, I know that they know these things. Are there any specific students that I'm gonna notice that you're working with, that you've tagged as maybe two things? You notice they may not quite be ready for this, but the majority of your class is, or do you have a case of students who showed you already they can master word problems, you anticipate they're going to take this and run with it?
Yeah, so I kind of took my last word problems lesson and kind of saw where my students were based on their work, and I've got, it's kind of split, so I've got 6 students that I know still are struggling with picking the operation, with drawing a picture, so I think after kind of my model and we get to the criteria, I'm going to pull them and give them a little more support in that.
Okay.
And that'll be Kalia, John, Ronald, Jaquan, Contraven, Micaiah, and they're going to get support in that part.
Okay.
The others, I think, will be able to work more independently through that, and after I get my small group started, I'll kind of work with them on transitioning from 1-step to 2-step.
Okay.
And even, I think there's a couple, I've got about 3 or 4 that were even kind of able to do 2-step last time.
Okay.
I'm going to try it out and see if they're able to explain their work. So after one of the highest levels I'd like them to go to is after being able to do a problem, actually explain in writing what they did.
Okay.
Because on the end of your assessment, they'll have problems that say, explain what you did to solve this problem, or explain, we'll give a non-example and explain why this person solved the problem wrong.
Okay.
So I'd like to push them into being able to use written explanations in math.
Alright. So you're going to kind of use that to see where you can go with that higher group, to see
Exactly.
what they can do, and then you're going to pull the small group. Do you anticipate having to keep the small group with you a while, or is it something that...
I think it'll just kind of depend, and hopefully I'll be able to like use the criteria as a teacher and see where they're kind of falling in it.
Okay.
But if they're showing mastery, I think I could definitely send a couple of students back if they don't need the help.
Seems like you're ready no matter what.
I hope so.
So is there anything else you think I need to know about the lesson before I come in?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Alright, cool. I look forward to it.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, thanks.